Morning grind with pork rinds.
Welcome to the show.
And a happy Friday hour to you right here on the Morning Rant. Dave Garner with you in here. Again, the happy hour presented by our friends at the pub in LJ. We got a full house this morning right here as we wrap up an unbelievable week of sports here throughout the country and here, particularly in the Southeast. And we got a lot of fan bases represented right here this morning on the show. Again, I'm sporting the Buffalo Bills hat here today in honor of my man, Big John Davis. Also, Big John with us in here today, sporting the Georgia Tech pullover as always. And we've got with us here inside our Carriage Kia studio this morning, David Collins, our draft insider right here. He's sporting the Falcons gear today. So we appreciate you guys being with us right here on this happy hour Friday edition. Big John, what's up, man? How's it going?
Hey, I'm just representing Brent Key's hoodie. You can now officially call us O-Line U after Big Red goes into the first round.
You know, you were talking a lot about Keelan Rutledge, of course, a couple of weeks ago. And going into spring practice, you had the opportunity to meet that young man. You were super impressed with him. And then last night, we're sitting there watching it. The Texans, trade up a little bit further into the first round to get him, Keelan Rutledge there. And it came at the expense of your Buffalo Bills, which, I am sporting the hat here today because I mentioned my wife is a big Buffalo Bills fan. I say that I'm married into the mafia. All right. David's got his Falcon shirt on here today. I still give love to the Falcons and, of course, my Packers as well here. But again, quickly before we kind of jump into the draft, your thoughts on Keelan going in that first round there and for a team to trade up for him. They obviously thought the same thing you've thought about him this whole time.
Well, I talked to him a little bit last week, and he just said that he had a feeling, or his agent had a feeling, that there might be some moves made on draft day, which we all know trades are made last-minute deals. But I can't think of a better place he's going to. And I was talking to him last night and about 2 a.m., and he is excited. But let me tell you something. The Texans are getting the equivalent of a Mike Munchak / Bruce Matthews.
Right.
Just a mean, nasty guy that is going to leave it out on the field.
Yeah.
And, you're going to get every ounce of energy from him. And, talking to him last night, the young man's ready to go.
Yeah, I love it. Again, Big Red, Keelan Rutledge, Georgia Tech. John, again, rebranding Georgia Tech as the new O-line at U. We hear about linebacker U, running back U, tight end U, and now we've got O-line U there. Again, our man David Collins also with us in here as well, brought some great perspective yesterday. Let's kind of talk a little bit real quick, too, because I want to bring you in, David, about the first round last night. Obviously, everyone's talking about, the big surprise, Ty Simpson, from Alabama, being picked 13th to the Rams. You and I were both just talking off air. Sean McVay didn't look very happy about that pick overall. But what was the biggest surprise to you in that first round?
That was the biggest surprise because I think that now you hurt the Arizona Cardinals. I think they would have tried to trade back in. They're going to war with Garner Minshew.
Yeah.
So they definitely need a quarterback, and I think you've hurt somebody in your division. So good for the Rams. Les Snead knows these Southern players.
Right.
I watched Ty Simpson all year. Started off great, kind of faded down the stretch.
Yeah.
And, a little dinged up. But when you look at Ty Simpson, where's the special?
Yeah.
No big arm. Not very mobile.
Right.
Okay. And Sean McVay's expression said it all. But here's what I think. When Matthew Stafford leaves, Sean McVay leaves.
Yeah.
So I think that he was already talking about the Amazon money and going over there and being an announcer. So I think he wanted the tackle from Georgia.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, for sure they're, linemen, of course. But, yeah, so it is kind of one of those things where sometimes you kind of see that where and who knows what goes on in those war rooms, right? But, I mean, sometimes you see it where, you have the hierarchy. Different teams are set up different ways. We've seen that here closer to home with our Atlanta Falcons. Now you've got, Matt Ryan, president of football. You've got a new GM and Ian Cunningham, which we're going to talk about that in a minute as well, and what the Falcons do here today in tomorrow over the next couple days. But sometimes it seems like there's not always sync there. And I know, John, you were talking about, you and I were talking this morning before we came on about Brandon Beane and the fact that the Bills traded 3 times in that first round back into the second round there. And there's a lot of folks that are unhappy about that. So you got to wonder, how much in sync some of these GMs and head coaches are when it comes to making some of these picks.
Well, and I think we talked about it before. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John.
We talked about it before. The GM's in the owner's head more than the head coach is.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. And, they said, you're built to win now, and I'm giving talking points, and I hate to from Mel Kiper and some of those yo-yos on ESPN. But, they might be looking for the future. And McVay's probably looking at the future too, just what you said. And
right.
But at the end of the day, the GMs have the owner's ear, and the head coaches are sitting back, and that's probably why he did look that way. And in Buffalo, a lot of the fans are bitching and complaining. But at this point now, Dave and David, I think you have one round, the first round. And then I would be happy with it being over with, and the rest could go free agency, because now you can start picking your players and start bidding, for your players, because that's what's getting ready to happen. They're getting ready to start best player available. Is my opinion. David, you might know different because you've been in it for a while. But that's just the way, my past experiences of watching it is, and you'll hear him talk about it today. Best player available,
Right.
And then that's when they start being picked off. And then they also make runs. Getting back to Keelan, I told you it's all about runs as well. You've got 7 offensive tackles and 2 guards, and there were little mini runs of 3 and 3 for the offensive tackles.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And I just think, they start to panic. David, you're right. I would have taken an offensive line to a left tackle to protect Matthew, because they're built to win the Super Bowl this year.
Correct.
And that's what they're thinking. Football has completely changed. We're not preparing for 3 or 4 years down the road anymore.
Right.
We're prepared to win the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can agree and understand where McVay's coming from.
Yeah.
But listen, at the end of the day, the GM's going to win out.
Right, yeah. The GM's, responsibility is to put the product on the field. It's up to the coach to coach it. But to your point, and I know that I think it was, Parcells, I believe, that you talked about and quoted saying, hey, if you want me to cook, let me pick the ingredients, right? And so, again, I know there's always kind of this power struggle sometimes within certain organizations.
There is. But who knows what McCarthy was thinking when they took Jordan Love and he was going to sit. And
Right.
then now look at what you have. If you don't have a quarterback in this league, you don't have a team.
Right.
And so that's what the Arizona calls. They can have Love all day long running the football, but if you don't have a guy that can distribute the ball to those wide receivers, Harrison and all these other guys they've got,
right.
the tight end they've got who's great, it doesn't matter. Garner Minshew isn't the answer in Arizona. What I think is really interesting about the first round after you get past pick 15, that's why Rutledge, who is ranked by some people 62, those ranks between like 20 and 100.
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting players in the second round that had first round grades on some boards, and third round grades on somebody else's board.
Right.
It is really a
absolutely.
crapshoot once you get past pick 20.
Yeah.
And the bust rate in the first round is 40 to 45%.
Right.
And I do think there's a couple of busts in the first round, by the way. A couple of teams picked. Proctor from Alabama, Falk from Auburn.
Yep.
If you saw his interview, I'd love to see what his Wonderlic test was. I mean, that was terrible.
Right.
I felt bad. I felt bad for the young man. I will say this, and I'll throw this in there. Coach Bill Curry did a great job with us. He always made us in the summertime before the season have a media session to know how to speak to the media. I'm not taking anything away from the young man because I know he's nervous and everything. but we got to prepare these kids a little bit better.
Yeah, definitely. Great point about that for sure.
And he underproduced for his skill set.
Right.
So that's, and same for Proctor.
Yep, there we go as well.
True.
Yep, definitely. Again, chopping it up right here on this Friday morning happy hour edition of the Morning Rant. As always, join us on social media. Again, we are the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia, and we haven't even gotten to the Atlanta Hawks yet. We haven't gotten to the Atlanta Braves yet. Again, the best record in Major League Baseball atop a lot of the analytics are the Braves. We'll talk about that, circle back a little bit later in the show. Again, the Atlanta Hawks also with a big win last night in, again, Game 3, the first game in Atlanta. It was rocking and rolling. Another 1-point thriller for the Atlanta Hawks. And again, we'll talk about that later in the show as well. So don't go anywhere anytime soon, because we've got plenty of draft talk going on as well. And that's kind of where we've started with the show here today, right here on the Sports Pig app and online at sportspigradio.com. David, real quick, again, up against the first break right here. But you talked about it yesterday. Again, Mendoza, number 1, no doubt about it. The draft started yesterday, basically, with the second pick. Any other surprises out of round 1 last night as the evening progressed?
Well, I told you I thought Tyson was going to be overdrafted, and he was by the Saints. And I think that means that those offensive linemen fell down, and the Giants were able to get them. They were surprised. I'm surprised there weren't more trades, which kind of speaks to this draft as being a little weaker than the previous drafts.
Right.
So when I look at it, Ty Simpson was the surprise in the draft.
Yeah.
But when I think about it from a Falcons perspective, is like, if you could take all the stuff of Pierce's, off the field stuff,
right?
There isn't a player at 13 that was as good as Pierce in this year's draft.
Right.
When you look at his skill set, Bain is a good,
Miami,
good player,
right.
Short arms, but he's not as good as Pierce.
Right.
And he's not going to have 10.5, 6 years.
Right.
10.5 sacks this year.
And we're going to talk about that too, because obviously with the news that was handed down yesterday that, of course, you shared with us and we talked about right here with the whole James Pierce thing, kind of changes the complexion maybe for what the Falcons do if they feel confident that he might be able to come back. Might change a little bit of strategy as far as what you want to do along that defensive line and some of those edge guys as well. Hey, we're up against our first break. When we come back, we will continue that conversation right here on this Friday happy hour edition of the show presented by your friends at the Pub in LJ, here alongside Big John Davis, my man, my co-host, and our draft insider David Collins right here on the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia on the Sports Pig app and online at sportspigradio.com.
When you get hurt from an accident, it can feel like no one is listening to you. The insurance company talks over you. The bills keep coming. It's like the pain and inconvenience doesn't even matter to them. But your story does matter. And here at Geiger Legal, we will make sure your story is heard loud and clear. My name is Casey Geiger, and my firm stands up for people who have been wronged through someone else's negligence. Let us tell your story. Let us get the justice you deserve, and let's start today.
Call Geiger Legal Group at 833-HELP-GLG. That's 833-HELP-GLG, and let us tell your story today.
An hour of Dave a Day keeps the workday full of play. Woo-hoo! It's time for the Friday morning happy hour on the Morning Rant.
All right, back here on this Friday happy hour segment of the Morning Rant. Thanks for being with us right here till 11 o'clock. Chuck Oliver, the king of college football with Southern Sports Today, coming up at the top of the hour. I'm here chopping it up with my man Big John Davis here on a Friday. We also have our NFL draft insider David Collins joining us live right here inside our Carriage Kia studio as well. And Big John, we're talking about the draft. Exciting night certainly for Keelan, Rutledge, and a lot of other gentlemen. Of course, that'll continue right here. We do have live coverage of the draft all weekend for you right here on the Sports Pig. So again, download the app, go online, Sports Pig Radio. You can hear rounds 2 through 7 again tonight and throughout the afternoon tomorrow right here live on Sports Pig Radio. So again, John, we were talking about Keelan, some of those guys, obviously special moments. You've connected back in with some folks down at Georgia Tech, and want to give some guys some shout outs this morning as well that might be listening.
Yeah, it's how convenient. 39 years ago, I was drafted by the old Houston Oilers, and then Keelan is going to the new
version,
new Texans, Houston Texans.
Yeah.
But was able to hook up with our last first-round offensive lineman, Kent Hill, who went to the Los Angeles Rams and went at number 26. And so I got to spend some time with him, and also brought back some memories of one of my old quarterback buddies, Rick Strom, up in Cumming, Georgia, at the Milkshake Factory.
Hey, there we go.
He and I had a chance to play for the Buffalo Bills together, and Rick was a great quarterback at Georgia Tech, and we wish him luck. And then what we try to always do is try to give shout outs to some of the high school players that are being recruited and getting offers. And I was just informed from Jacob Callahan that his son Bubba has received, I think, 8 or 9 offers.
Okay. Yep.
And I think 3 of them are from the service academies.
Right.
Which goes to tell you what kind of special young man he is.
Right.
And so we want to wish him luck, and we also want to throw out there, if you've got some kids out there that are being recruited, let us know so we can mention you and get you some airtime.
Absolutely. And that's the one thing I think that sets this show apart. I mean, as we've said all along right here on the Morning Rant, yeah, certainly we talk about things that other people talk about too, but we also talk about other things that people don't, particularly in Atlanta radio with kind of reeling it back in closer to home with a lot of our high schools and again, recruiting. In fact, next week, we're going to have right here on the program Jimmy Keene, the head baseball coach from North Cobb Christian. They're 26-4 on the year, getting set for the postseason. So we're going to have some little clips and things like that where we incorporate some of our high school coaches into the program right here. Excuse me. One of the other things that we talked about, too, John, and we're going to talk about this later, probably in the third segment. It's a bold take. One of the things that came across you and I have been talking about is, pro athletes signing or not signing autographs, different things like that. We're going to get your opinion about that a little bit later on in the show there. But again, a lot of things going on right now. We talked about it. We'll talk about the Hawks and Braves a little bit later on in the show. But kind of want to go back to the draft because, again, we have our draft expert here. Again, David Collins joining us right here. And I kind of wanted to put the question out there. I'll start with you, though, John. I mean, obviously, You're Brandon Bean at this point, which I know is probably a name that you don't want to hear, especially this morning. But what's going through your mind, or what do you feel like, whether you agree with it or not? What do you feel like was the I guess the mentality behind trading down all 3 of those first round picks at the end of that last night?
I'm not going to pretend to get into his head. I can just read X, and you better hope like hell that he comes up with some stars because the fans, I think the fans have had just about enough after getting rid of McDermott. I think it goes back, and David will say, I love his opinion as well, but I just think you're the best athlete forward. You've got to. Buffalo needs defensive backs. They need help on the defensive side of the ball. You don't know what's going to happen with big left tackle Deion Dawkins. You don't know what's going to happen there. And you've got to get somebody for Josh Allen, at least one more guy for Josh Allen. Yeah. So I don't know what they're going to do. I'm looking at the board right now, and again, it kept best available, best fit. What do? Do you do best available or you do best fit?
Yeah.
So I just think Brandon needs to be on his game the next 2 days because if he's not, I can see those fans raining hell on him, and we all know how that turns out.
So I know you were paying attention last night. Which broadcast were you watching? Were you watching the ABC? Were you watching the ESPN? I mean, David shaking his head over here. So NFL Network. I mean, oh man.
Honestly, I had the volume on low and I was watching the Buffalo Sabres.
There you go. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about NHL too.
Page.
There you go. We are going to talk some NHL as well. There, and the only reason I say that is because to me last night, like Kuiper was in rare form. Like man, he was just kind of everywhere, and he was pretty much coffeed up and caffeined up, I guess, or whatever, and pretty much in that mode there. And I know you and I have, you kind of have some strong opinions about Kuiper and some of those guys. So yeah.
He can't, I mean, at least go through one pick and at least be positive the whole way through. But he's got to come up with one thing. And listen, if you're a former player, I'm good with whatever you say because you've actually played. Mel's not actually played.
Right.
So, shut up and you do your analytics.
Yeah.
And then be positive. You know,
Right.
give the guys
I'm having
love.
I'm having flashbacks of Bill Tobin yelling at Mel Kiper
Oh, yeah.
right now.
Yeah. I love all the impressions of Kiper where he's like, Todd, when you take a look at the draft there, flying under the radar, But anyway, man, yeah,
So
always a lot of
to
personality.
answer your question, though, Dave,
Yeah.
the best coverage is on YouTube. The Pat McAfee show had everybody. They had
Okay,
Arnold
yeah, I was gonna
Roski.
say,
They had-
yeah.
and there were no commercials.
Right.
So I had that on the NFL Network because I love Joel Klatt.
Yeah.
And then I had Todd McShay's Netflix going.
Right.
So I had three things going. So I had voices all in my head trying. I don't think I caught any of it.
Right. So let me ask you this, and I want to shift gears for a minute because we do have you here. So let's bring it closer to home. I mean, you've got the Falcon logo on here. Obviously, you're an Atlanta Falcon fan. You've spent a lot of time talking about this organization, as I have. To me, it's definitely been one of the most dysfunctional organizations in all of professional sports, I feel like, to a certain extent. But now you got a new GM. Put your Ian Cunningham hat on for just a moment right here. What do you do today? You're the Atlanta Falcons. You're picking 15th, 16th here in the second round today.
48.
What does it look like?
So I have been a Falcons fan my whole life, and it's I equate it to this. It's I feel like that abused girlfriend that they keep telling me, oh, it'll be better this time,
Yes.
baby. I promise I'll be good.
We
and
say
they just
that
keep
all the
beating
time.
you.
We say that all the time right here.
PTSD.
Yeah. Oh, my
I'm in
goodness.
counseling therapy. But so Fontenot left Cunningham with a mess.
Yeah.
No question about it. Terrible GM. Cunningham comes from a somewhat if you read Tyler Dunn's article, it was pretty dysfunctional up there. But
Right.
he's under Roseman.
Yeah.
I know Matt Ryan knows him well.
Yeah, in
so
Chicago, yeah.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt
Right.
until he screws up.
Right.
And
yeah.
then I'm going to yell and
then we'll rant about
and
it, of
call
So
course.
him-
you're going to give
call
them a
him,
chance until tonight?
Fontenot part 2. So, but I'm going
Yeah.
to give you the benefit of the doubt. So I wanted Blake Miller. I thought he might fall, but and I wanted somebody to replace McCary.
Yeah.
That's off the board. There are no the offensive linemen are going, and the worst thing a GM can do is reach for a position of a need.
Yeah.
So to your point, John, you take best player available, and it does need to be at a position of need. You don't need a safety.
Right.
So there's going to be some safeties there. You don't need them. McCoy might be there from Tennessee.
Right.
Injury concern. I'm not crazy about that. So I'm going to bring it even closer to home. I want Miller. Or I want Christian. I want the defensive tackle or the linebacker from Georgia.
Right.
If
C.J. Allen or Christian Miller.
Yeah, Miller. Yes.
Yeah.
Those are the guys I've seen it mock today, and they're going right ahead of us. And
Right.
so then I like the linebacker from Texas Tech. There's a defensive tackle there. I want the front seven on defensive dress, and there's value here in the second round in those areas, so linebackers and defensive tackles. And
Right.
you really don't need an edge, but if the right edge is there, you take him. But most of those are gone.
Are gone,
So-
yeah. And I think that in looking at what Kevin Stefanski has done previously, we talked about this, he does seem to be kind of an inside-out kind of guy. I mean, he does seem to be trench, heavy. Now, again, that depends kind of on how he's going to work with Ian Cunningham and what the strategy is there. I'm not sure how much pull Stefanski has. I think ideally as an organization, your head coach would have some input, certainly, into the draft. So it will be interesting to see if they try to boost the front there like you're talking about, the front seven.
So it's interesting, as it goes down, they really lean on their position coaches.
Yeah.
And there's going to be coaches banging the table for players.
Right.
And that's what's going to happen in these second, third, fourth, fifth rounds. Is they're like,
Yep.
there's a guy they're in love with. The special teams coach like, this guy is a starter right now on special
Right,
teams. We
yeah.
got to bring him in here. He can return punts for us right
Yeah.
now.
Which, by the way, to me,
Dave-
that was the worst phase of the whole team last year. The special teams, it was,
Awful.
horrid to say, to put it kindly. But John, yep.
Let me ask you this, David and Dave. What impact do you think will have Arthur stepping down and putting his son in charge? How do you think that dynamic's going to go?
I think it's only a matter of time, honestly, just because of Arthur's age of getting up there, and he's already seemed to kind of be passing the buck a little bit.
Well, you see him in front of the media, which you never did before. So he's always with Arthur. He's kind of his right-hand guy there, Okay. Raheem hugged Arthur, then he hugged the son on his way out. But but it's interesting to me because I have no problem. That's succession. That's what happens, right?
Yeah.
As long as he can turn it over to a football guy.
Right.
And so I would offer Les Snead all kinds of money to come over here and run this organization. Maybe Howie Roseman's getting tired of building dynasties in the best football program or best talent acquisition in the league. I mean, when you look at it, I mean both those teams are just rich with talent, and they're getting talent in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds.
Right.
But getting back to the Georgia players, when was the last time a Kirby Smart defensive player busted in the NFL?
Right, yeah.
No matter where they were taken. It's rare.
Definitely kind of league ready. I know, obviously, Big John Davis is Georgia Tech, so we know what he thinks about Georgia there. But if you're looking at it objectively and you're trying to build your football team,
objective.
Yeah, there's no objective coming out of there today. But nonetheless, I talked about. I had a chance to meet Christian Miller as a freshman. Super impressed with the kid, and very respectful of his family.
Great interviews.
And super good guy. I mean, I definitely think he's that kind of, to me, would kind of be like that Grady Jarrett type of defensive tackle potentially. As far as a guy that maybe not a lot of people are talking about, but a guy that would just kind of quietly come in and really be a presence. Be able to push the pocket, be a run stopper, and some different things there. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Well, think about this from a local perspective. Think about all the Georgia players and Tech players, too, that this team has passed on that go on into the NFL and have these all-pro careers, and we were right there. I go back to Rodney Hampton, and we could have had Rodney Hampton, and we took the bowling ball, the little tiny guy. I can't even remember remember his name, but Jerry Glanville loved him. So, but we had Rodney Hampton sitting right there, and all those Georgia players we passed on throughout the years, and the Eagles just snatch them up, and they have one of the best defenses in football.
Don't even get Big John started on Jerry Glanville. That's a whole nother show. Right there.
That's a segment.
It's Bobby Petrino and Jerry Glanville.
Yeah, there we go. Some mutual feelings right here on this happy hour Friday of the Morning Rant.
How do you let Brett Favre get out the door?
There we go, exactly. Hey, we're up against our second break. We come back, we'll continue the conversation, and we will dive into a little bit of that game last night. The Atlanta Hawks winning Game 3. They are now up 2-1 in the series there in the NBA conference. Again, the playoffs there. And then, of course, the Atlanta Braves right now rocking and rolling, doing their thing. Another dub yesterday. We'll talk about that and much more on the other side of a break. Stay with us right here. We are the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia on the Sports Pig app and online at sportspigradio.com.
Make your home's air healthier. Green Heating and Cooling can help by installing a Bryant Evolution air purifier just for you. Using Captures and Kills technology, this highly advanced MERV15 filter captures many select airborne pathogens. It also helps improve indoor air quality for both asthma and allergy sufferers by filtering air impurities like dust, pollen, and pet dander. Call to schedule an evaluation. Green Heating and Cooling, your top Bryant authorized dealer, whatever it takes. We bring the heat. You bring the trash talk.
Come on, man. Are you serious?
It's the Morning Rant, live on the Sports Pig app and sportspigradio.com.
Back here on a Friday happy hour segment of the Morning Rant, presented by your friends at the pub in Ella-J. Dave Garner back with you till 11 o'clock today. We're already halfway home, man. We're having a lot of fun right here, chopping it up with my man, Big John Davis, and, of course, David Collins as well, our NFL Draft Insider right here on the program today as we talk about the draft again live right here all weekend on the Sports Pig, right here on the app and on sportspigradio.com. John, you and I were talking a little bit about the analytics, and again, and I was just sharing those with David as well here, too. Again, the first month, and we're already into, the second month of the show now. We started this thing back towards the beginning of March. A lot of folks listening online, though, that we had almost 5,000 downloads just the first month, and that's just on the digital. That none of this counts over the air listenership, right? So, again, just on our digital and social platform, almost 5,000 downloads, almost 2,000 unique listeners. The show's growing. You can go on our YouTube and see this subscriber list is growing as well. well. And so, again, man, a lot of people listen really from all over the place, even outside the country.
Yeah, they do. And I've got to give another shout out. We talked Wednesday, and we always love our listeners all over the place. And whenever they call me in or text me and stuff, I'm going to give them a shout out when we have time. But just as an update for my son Harrison and Nikki on their travels over in Ireland and Scotland, they are now having lunch outside of Belfast, headed to Belfast right now.
There we
They're
go.
having a great time.
My goodness.
Got up on the stage, it looks like last night or this afternoon, and the guy loves my son's Harrison's cowboy hat. So
amazing.
love that those kids are having a great time over there. And then also one guy that is just one of my favorites. We have a tradition that I really didn't know about until recently because I just didn't pay attention. I don't know why, but you give a certain amount of money, you get a gold jacket for Georgia Tech.
Okay.
And this guy over in Lake Oconee, Greg Garrett, is about as diehard of a Georgia Tech fan as there ever will be.
Right.
Been very successful in business, but on top of that, he's just a good guy. He and his wife invite me to stay and watch the game in his box and everything. But I wanted to give a shout out to Greg because he can't be thanked enough for the amount of support that he has given to Georgia Tech. And there's a lot of them. And David, you know this as well. There's a lot on the Georgia side that you always have those certain amount of people that are just a step above the fandom that might not have even gone to that school, but they are just huge fans of the school and they've supported them all their time. And I just got to give a shout out to Greg because he's been phenomenal. He's at every game and he takes his family. I mean, it's a true family affair with Greg. And but I wanted to give him a shout out. And Harrison over in Ireland and Scotland, he does not play golf, but I'm hoping that he'll just try to go out and maybe walk 2 or 3 holes just to show me on the shoreline of what a real golf course looks like.
Take some pictures or something. I mean, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, speaking of golf, we've talked a lot about golf and of course a lot of different things to wrap it up. Our man Billy D was in here yesterday. He won another championship belt, another golf tournament right there. We kind of move the show around in a lot of different areas and get some different perspectives. And one of the biggest reasons we're doing that now is because, John, man, you're paying attention to a lot of stuff, man. I mean, yeah, obviously it's very football centric. This show's always going to be that. But man, I mean, you are on board for the Buffalo Sabres, man, as we talk about NHL as well. And man, they picked up another win last night over the Bruins. How about that?
I know, it's fantastic. And my wife and I were sitting outside at the fire pit Netflixing it, and I kept looking at my watch, and she's like, "You got somewhere to be?" And I'm like, "Well, just in case, if we can get in for the last period." But no, I can't. Like I said, I've got the draft up on my computer, and then I've got on my monitor, I've got the Sabres game. And, it's like I said, if they could win one out of Boston and they can come back to Buffalo 2-2 or 3-1, I feel good about moving on to the next round.
Yeah.
And, they make fun of Buffalo because they're not the most physical team.
Right.
But what I like about it is that they're smart. And they play well together. And you look at Lindy Ruff, and I just think he's done a phenomenal job with them. And, there's a lot of great teams. You had Carolina, Ottawa, Colorado. But, boy, it's a lot of fun watching the Sabres.
Yeah, you think about it. I mean, obviously with the Florida Panthers being off with the injuries that they had this year and not being in it, it definitely does open up things a little bit, for things to happen. And, even the Oilers, even Edmonton right now, finding themselves in a battle, with the Ducks. And I mean, obviously Edmonton, being the, conference champ last year and everything. So again, even the Connor McDavids of the world and all those kind of folks that people like to talk about, they're even on the verge of being eliminated. So yeah, definitely some new blood perhaps in the NHL this year. And it's always good to see that. Hey, going back to that win last night, I do want to touch on things. And we are going to circle back in our last segment, by the way, talk about the NFL draft. Again, David drove a long way to be with us here today. So we're not done talking about the draft yet. yet, but we do want to get some of the other stuff out of the way because it's worth talking about. Atlanta Hawks, in case you didn't see it last night, big win, great atmosphere down at State Farm Arena. I think they had, some different hip-hop artists, Pastor Troy, different folks performing during timeouts, as you would expect, Atlanta to kind of have that vibe. But again, C.J. McCollum once again hits the game winner. They get a big defensive stop there in the final 10 seconds, and the Hawks, man, take another 1-point dub over the New York Knicks. And, man, I tell you what, Knicks fans are all in their feelings so far here in this series. Right in front of
Anytime the Hawks win and Spike Lee loses, I'm good.
Yeah, there you go. It's a win-win, right? And indeed. So, congratulations to the Hawks. That series will continue again over the weekend right here in Atlanta, and we'll talk about that for you on Monday. Real quick, again, our Atlanta Braves, man, they get a big dub yesterday. JT Ritchie got his first win, his first start yesterday. It didn't start well. The broadcast, they were showing his parents and talking about, the proud parent. First pitch, he gives up a home run to the leadoff hitter. And that's how his MLB, debut started. But then after that, to his credit, man, he settled down, only one earned run over the next, 4 or 5 innings or so, and he gets the dub. The Braves bats again pick him up, and another win as they take 3 out of 4 from the Nats, and now the Braves back home for a weekend slate against the Phils. And again, that starts tonight. But again, you got to be pleased with this Braves team. John, you and I were talking about the analytics right now. Man, these guys are on fire, man.
Wow. It's unbelievable. 62-run score differential. The pitching is in the top 3. The hitting's in the top 3. They're making minimal mistakes. People are coming in and playing, and it's like we talked about. There's almost an unsung hero every night.
Yeah.
And getting back to the pitcher, Richie, thank God he finished with seven innings and got the win, because can you imagine the intro for him for the rest of his life will actually be that home run.
Yeah,
and
right.
So he overshadowed it with a great game. And again, I mean, there's another pitcher for you that's going to get you 7 innings.
Yeah.
In a baseball season, Dave, we grew up in a time, David as well, we grew up in a time where we were used to watching pitchers go 9 innings.
Yeah.
The relief pitcher really wasn't, it was an afterthought.
Right, yeah.
Today, it's part of baseball. So if you can get those 7 innings, that is a huge outing.
Absolutely big,
Some might only get 5 or 6, but if you can get that 7th inning, you got 2 closers or 1 closer, dude, you're done. You're going to get the win.
And now you've got your full complement as well, because you see spot starts like that happen throughout the course of a season, especially if you're playing 12, 13 games in a row like we saw the Braves start the season doing. But, big outing yesterday from Richie, as you mentioned, 7 innings, 5 hits, just 2 earned runs. Again, the long ball there from Ozzie, who continues to, basically tear the cover off the ball. Drake, with another hit yesterday in RBI. So, again, this Braves team doing some really good things here in the first few weeks of the season, and we'll continue to talk about them next week. Hopefully, they can get it done and win the series this weekend against Philly. I'm kind of like you. We talked about with the Hawks and the Knicks, man. Anytime you can beat Philly, in anything, you can beat Phillies, Eagles, or whatever, it's always a win for the good guys. And so hopefully
get them while you can.
Exactly.
Get 'em while you can.
Exactly. Now, David, you and I were joking around. I know you don't really follow the Hawks much until they're good, right?
Exactly. So now I'm paying attention.
So now you're paying attention. Billy D, man, he gets on to me. He's like, come on, man, and he's doing all the Hawks, caw, and all that stuff there. But again, so, we've been kind of going back and forth a little bit about this Atlanta Hawks team. He admittedly doesn't know as much about baseball, and that's okay. We give him a pass on that one right there. But my man, Big John Davis, man, you're becoming a well-rounded sports fan. I mean, you come in here every day, rocking a Georgia Tech or a Buffalo Bill. You got your notes. You got your Tim Hortons cup. I mean, you are rocking this thing, man, 2 or 3 days a week at least. And so I got to give you props.
Well, I appreciate that, and some might say that I don't know anything about football either. So, which I'm perfectly good with. I'm just a pundit these days, but I do have opinions, and I want to share them. And I know we're almost to the break, but David, I wanted to get a thought from you. Dave and I was talking about Wednesday about the 6 teams that had 2 draft choices in the first round, and the Jets at the very end snuck in a 3rd pick.
Yeah.
And, David, I want to get your take on it, but I think at the end of the day, I think the Jets had a great draft.
They won the draft.
Their 31st defense, 29th offense. They got a tight end and a wide receiver, and then they got the edge player, I believe, from Texas Tech, if I'm not mistaken. And then you go out and you look at the Dallas Cowboys. They 32nd in defense, and they went out and filled those two needs. And then the Browns. 31 in offense ranking, and they went out and got him an offensive tackle and a wide receiver. So I think those 6 teams that I'm looking at right now actually filled their needs with potential first-day starters.
The cupboard's not going to be bare for the new coach and the new quarterback for the Jets.
Right. Yeah.
Because this is Aaron Glenn's last year and this is Geno Smith's last year. Because they're still only going to win 5 or 6 games, but they absolutely killed it last night.
Yeah, definitely.
Very analytical GM, made the right moves. I probably would have taken Reese over Bailey just for the upside.
Yeah.
But Bailey's a can't miss at rushing the passer.
Yep, I love it. Again, more draft talk right here coming up after the final break right here as we dive back into it on a Friday morning happy hour presented by your friends at the pub in J. We'll be right back. Again, visit us on social media, the Sports Pig on Facebook, the Morning Rant on Instagram, and also full video episodes daily on YouTube. You can also catch the podcast version of the show on our website, sportspigradio.com, and wherever you listen to your favorite daily podcast on all Apple and Android platforms. Again, I'm on Twitter at DaveGarner777. He's at JohnDavis_65, and this is the Morning Rant. Stay with us right here on the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia on the Sports Pig app and online at sportspigradio.com.
Financial scams are on the rise, and with AI, they're getting more and more sophisticated every day. If someone pressures you to act quickly, ask for secrecy, or request payment through gift cards, wire transfers, or cryptocurrency, stop. Legitimate financial professionals don't rush you or demand unusual payment methods. Before you send money or share personal information, slow down and verify. Protect your future. When in doubt, ask questions.
If you're suspicious of a scam, call the team at Foundation Wealth today at 706-278-0214.
Big opinions of the big games from the big mouths.
Man, I think it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. It's the Morning Rant on WPGY, the Sports Pig, North Georgia's home for ESPN Radio.
Sit down.
Back here on a Friday happy hour presented by your friends at the pub in J. Hey, we've got a lot of live shows coming up over the next month or two right here. One of those shows is going to be on May 15th at Bradley's Bar and Grill down in East Cobb, down in Marietta, off of the Roswell Road area there. And I know, John, you and I are looking forward to it. And we're going to have an extended version of the program that day. Going to be on location for about 3 hours. We're going to plan to go from 10 to 1 that day there. And raffles, drawings, a lot of different things right there. So definitely looking forward to that. And some other appearances as well we'll talk about on Monday. But certainly looking forward to getting the show out to the people, because this is a show for the people, and you're a man of the people.
Well, I'd like to think so, especially at my favorite dive bar, Bradley's, right down the street from the house. But, John Capone and I have been friends ever since he opened up about 18 years ago, when we just really connected, and our friendship goes really deep. And he's done such a great job with his bar, and bringing people in, and it's a lot of fun that he's going to have us. But also, if I can mention this, we're going to kick off. I've had the fortunate ability to meet Coach Standard at LJ, the head football coach there, and then I'm a good friends with the trainer, or the manager down at Georgia Tech. We're going to have a Gilmer County football jersey, Georgia Tech football jersey, and a Buffalo Bill football jersey that me and John are going to start selling raffle tickets.
Yep.
That's going to benefit the Cobb County PAL, Police Action League, or Activity League. I forget exactly. And then I believe you're big with the Boys and Girls Club in Jasper.
Right.
And then we're going to raise some money for the Appalachian Children's Center in LJ.
Yes.
So we're really excited about that. We're going to sell tickets until our second show at Bradley's sometime in June, whenever that date's mentioned. promotion. So
Absolutely,
a lot of excitement. 3 hours at Bradley's. He's going to have specials. Look for us to advertise and send some things out. We all got our Venmos downloaded so we can start making some money for these wonderful charities.
Yeah, and check out our social media as well, because we're going to be posting stuff on there as well, Facebook and of course Instagram as well, talking about those events. Boys and Girls Club of North Georgia, near and dear to my heart, as is the Appalachian Children's Center. Spent a lot of time working with them, a great advocacy group for children there. And, of course, as you mentioned, the COB, the PALL, benefiting police and athletics and everything. So it kind of goes hand in hand, obviously, with what we talk about right here on the program, and be looking for that. We're going to be live at the pub in LJ, too, by the way, on May the 6th, coming up here in a couple of Wednesdays as we do our Winging It Wednesday again on location. And a couple other spots, some surprise spots picked out as well over this next month as we begin to promote some concerts and different things as well right here on the air. So a lot of things moving and shaking right here with the Morning Rant. Hey, time now for a bold take from the big man himself.
911, what's your emergency?
Bold takes from the big man himself. It's Big John's Bold Take of the Week, only on the Morning Rant.
All right, so we were talking a little bit earlier in the show, and we kind of teased it about, the signing autographs and things like that, professional athletes. And you were holding up during the break, you were holding up a bunch of letters, like fan mail type stuff and everything. And there was an athlete that came out, I think he was a baseball pitcher, I believe, and was saying something like, hey, don't send me anything. Right, because I'm not going to sign it. I ain't got time for that or whatever. And you had some pretty bold opinions about that as a former professional athlete, and I kind of wanted to loop you into that.
I think he's a big turd. Thank you. It is our obligation and honor and privilege to sign these autographs for the fans. These are the people who pay the salaries, whether they like it or not, and I remember, I'll tell you a quick story. When we lived in Buffalo our first time and we bought a house, I had 3 kids mow my yard. And I asked him, son, what are you using the money for? And he says, well, I got to buy my season ticket to the Buffalo Bills. And you know what? They were out there busting their butts, mowing yards, blowing leaves, doing all of that for one ticket, because that's how passionate they were. And for any athlete that doesn't sign the autographs and send them back, shame on you. I do it once a month. I get anywhere from 50, 60, 70 pieces of mail a month, and I just sit down one weekend and take a couple of hours and sign. And sometimes I'll write a little personal note to them because they write letters to you as well and let you know what's going on or who they are and who the autographs for. And a lot of them are parents that watch me play and they're bringing their kids along. And so I always try to tell them a little story or just say something encouraging to them. And but for this athlete to do that is it's not right. Shame on him, and I hope more people jump on the bandwagon and kind of beat him down a little bit.
Yeah, and I think the guy, I believe it was Trey Yesavage, I think, who's with the Blue Jays, or maybe a prospect as well, had just come out in an interview and everything and kind of said that. So again, I'm glad you said that. I think David was glad you said that as well.
I have a very strong opinion on this. I have met a lot of NFL players through the years, and most of them understand how blessed they are, understand it's a gift that they have, and really appreciate the fans. But I've had those little interactions where you're like, wow, you really are who you present yourself to be in public, And I get it. Some people have a bad day, but I use Jeff Van Note as an example, who's actually a personal friend of mine, and used to be in my fantasy football league.
Noter, man, I love Jeff.
Noter is the best.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
he's my favorite Falcon all the time. But he took me as a friend. We used to go to lunch together regularly, and he just got it. He goes, I just like talking football.
Yeah,
and I'm just a fan.
Right.
And that guy took the time with me to have lunch and actually spend quality time with me. Came and read at my son's kindergarten class as a celebrity,
guest reader.
Yeah. Anything you asked of him that was giving back, that guy did it. Yeah. And he got it. And so I have no tolerance for the people that I met that don't get it. I've been in the booths as a spotter, I've seen a lot of interactions of players and former players interacting with makeup artists, and you're just like, yeah, you don't get it,
right?
You don't get how blessed you are.
I really loved Jeff.
Well, and also to that point, when you're at I can't say this as much in Buffalo because it never got hot up there, really. I remember going up there and Fred Smirlis about passing out, and it was 81 degrees. And I'm like, dude, I just came from Houston, and it was 100, and the humidity was 110.
Right,
cry me a river. But fans are understanding. If you come out, if you're hurt, or if it's been a long day. Because I remember in Fredonia, where we used to have training camp, we had golf carts, but we used to have 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 people show up to practice in Fredonia to watch the Bills.
Right.
And so how are you going to say no to these people? You don't,
That's right.
And David, you're right. We used to have some players that would go around in our golf carts and go around campus just not to go through that little fan alleyway. I could never do that. But they are understanding. And if you had a bad day or something, they kind of sense it. But then you know what? You'll see them at the afternoon practice, or you might see them at the next morning practice.
So I saw this picture, or actually a little clip of Derrick Henry refusing to sign an autograph because it was C.J. Garner leveling him, and so I get that. He's like, yeah, I'm not signing that. I don't blame him.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. I mean, there's always different experiences.
Right.
For the most part, my experience has been great. I love Jeff Van Note. Growing up playing football, I was telling John the other day, I actually played center until I got into high school. Wasn't big enough to play on the O-line anymore. But I wore number 57, man. My coaches branded me as like Van Note. That was like the thing growing up there.
The man.
I did have a chance to meet him as well later in life. And to your point, super genuine dude. Great experience meeting him. And you do run across a lot. And we always say this, for the 10% bad, it's 90% good.
Correct.
But occasionally you will run across some of those, diva type players or what have you. They're just not going to give you the time of day. So again, very refreshing right there. Hey, in the final couple minutes we have right here, I do want to jump back into the draft. Again, live coverage right here all weekend on the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia, right here on Sports Pig Radio. Let's dive back in a little bit. Talk about what happens today, man. What do we see today in rounds 2 and 3 overall? What stands out at you?
So I believe the Falcons have to, like I said before, have to address that front seven, and there's real value right around that. Like if Rodriguez, we think about our linebacker, our backup linebacker, J.D. Bertrand, when he was on the field, and Troy Anderson can't stay healthy.
Right.
So he was lost. So let's get a savvy guy like Allen in there. Rodriguez is also a very intelligent linebacker from Texas Tech. And then the other guy, hold on. Lee Hunter, who's mocked us, the defensive tackle from Texas Tech.
Right.
He's a savvy defensive tackle, good against the run and pass, which we absolutely need. So to me, that's where you go with that second round pick, the front seven. Then you can look in and see, well, maybe we do pick up a wide receiver in the third round, and another running back late. It's a pretty weak running back draft, but you can always find value at the running back position late.
Yeah, in the draft for sure. And obviously. And John, again, I know you like the trenches, man. You like to build the trenches right there, certainly. So what are you looking at in the second round, man, if you're a GM right here?
Well, I think David's exactly right. As the great Rush Limbaugh would say, ditto. I think and I'm looking at it right now on my monitor. It's best fit and what is your need. And I think what you do is you say, like David said, we need a linebacker who's going to fit that need. Now your scouting starts to get involved with it. Is what type of kid is he? Is he 100% motor? Is he a diva? Is he, you throw all that stuff on the wall and see what sticks, and then you make a chance. It's all about a game of chances to me. David might think different now. I think right now it's all about a game of chances, and you just got to hope that you make the right decision. But again, this wasn't a great draft, but I think you've got some great players there.
Yeah.
And as somebody had said earlier, I think yesterday, is that the reason some of these guys are dropping to the second and third round is that there's a kink in their armor somewhere.
Yeah,
Something's been said. Something's, the whispering goes on. And now it's the GM's turn to show why he's making millions.
There we go.
And we'll see.
We'll see.
And I'm not a huge Falcons fan. I'm a big Matt Ryan fan, and I'm excited to see how he pulls this off this year.
It'll be
and to
definitely
see how he envisions the team moving forward.
There we go. Awesome. Great stuff, gentlemen. Out of time here today. Appreciate you guys listening again this Friday happy hour edition of the Morning Rant right here on the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia on the Sports Pig app and online at sportspigradio.com. We'll see you Monday.
98.1 and 93.7 The Sports Pig, where hot takes meet hot mics.